Hello, everybody. Welcome in my next, a little bit scary Zoom vlog. And today I'm really happy to join finally this vlog because I've been ill for having flu for 2 weeks, so I could not record any vlogs, unfortunately. And now it came Halloween, so I think it's also something a little bit scary to tell you about. And you see the slide, right? This is actually me when I was studying. And today I thought about addressing question of one of the participants from previous workshop, which was done thanks to We Leap Superpowers series and Durgesh, which invited me to perform workshop online for women in STEM standing out of agile mindset. And what we learned there was, what does it mean, agile mindset? And the question from participants, which I found interesting and actually connected very much to scary topics, is, and now I will move it to show you all the question. How did I implement agile mindset in my professional life? So being academic, I started my journey at University of Wrocław. And this was journey when I did graduated in biotechnology. Then what happened later on was actually start of the journey already, which could be scary because it involved moving to other country. And I hope you can see it. Moving to other country from Wrocław to Rotterdam, to Netherlands, to very liberal country, and performing their PhD studies. That was already quite interesting change of environment, but also of educational system. But very driven. So I was really happy to get to the lab where people studied stem cells and work with animals. I never worked with animals before. So that was another scary thing, as you can imagine, to develop whole research project applying mouse model. The other thing was to, of course, start to work with so many different people, with animal technicians, which took care of mice, my experiment, my mice, which I use for experiments, but also all different types of people which I met. I never met so many different nationalities before when I was in Poland. So that was another ecosystem, a very international environment. I think 300 people in Department of Cell Biology. And so that was another difference, a big difference, which made it a little bit scary in this journey. Then I followed, actually, after gaining fundamental knowledge in stem cells for postdocs. I moved from Rotterdam to Nijmegen. I entered very Dutch environment, so that was also very different from Rotterdam. And very challenging. I start to learn language, so I start to feel more confident about the environment and communication. And then I realized that after Nijmegen, I want to explore more. I start to really enjoy working in very different environments. In Nijmegen, an environment of scientists and clinicians, during exploring a role of environment in stem cell activity. And then I moved, actually project-driven, again, thinking about my fears, to other country, to Leuven. It was Belgium this time, very international group, around 40 people. And again, I think by working with different nationalities, I realized that the key to success is effective and clear and transparent communication. And that's what I think I gained. And because I was always very much people-oriented person and enjoying learning different perspectives from each different internationals, Chinese, Italians, Germans, people from Belgium, people from Netherlands. So that gave me quite West and East perspective of how people think and what kind of perspective can people share and how much this different international mindset contributes actually to development of science, stem cell science. Then I moved from Belgium to north actually of Netherlands, Groningen, and another very different environment, different university, different ecosystem. When I actually work with leukemic mice, or mice which develop human leukemia, and that was, I think, I became more patient-oriented person because I now had to take care of animals which develop leukemia. So I felt like a doctor taking care of patients. So my mindset was shaped by patient-oriented research, which in the future, of course, this would serve to develop a successful therapies to treat leukemia. And apart from that, this fear didn't really, I think, disappear after performing so many different studies and meeting so many different people and being exposed to different international environments. It didn't, I think, disappeared. And I think one of the best things which I really enjoyed in my free time, and especially when summer was coming, hiking in beautiful mountains in Tatras. And I think that's what brought this mental agility to, seeing this very high peaks, especially high Tatras, and not just looking at them, but also taking effort and step by step, actually climbing up. And by climbing up, taking every time step, also taking every time mental step. So if you think about difficulties, for me, that was very strong exercise, how to learn and be agile in terms of mental agility, but also mental resilience, if that sounds more familiar for you. And that was really beautiful, and that's what I'm still enjoying doing. Then I moved to Poland, back after many years not being there. I think I still, my perception about being in Poland, in Warsaw, and working with animals, this time in applying stem cells for brain repair, was another challenging step, because I never performed before neurosurgery. Yes, I performed transplantations, injections of stem cells via tail vein, which is typical type of assay to study stem cell activity, but I never performed before, ever surgery, neurosurgery, and going with scalpel, making very precise cuts. That was, I think, something which I, at the beginning, was very afraid of. But with time, with practice, this became actually something which I start to enjoy. So this was another, I think, know-how challenge, which brought a lot of fear at the beginning, but more exercise and more learning by doing, I performed. I became way more confident neurosurgeon, I would say. And then, of course, it came time when I did all these postdocs that I have had full of ideas. I want to develop collaborative research between academia and also with industry. So this academic industrial partnerships became very important on my roadmap. And I only realized that for this, I need a strong team, a team which can be high performance team. And I was missing academia really team spirit, team-oriented projects, truly team-oriented projects with one goal. And that's why when I met Jan, because that's what also another side of stepping into entrepreneurship was, to meeting many different people and start to think how now with all these great entrepreneurs, also very international, I can develop further as an entrepreneur scientist. And I met Jan Frensken, and we built agile team building workshops. That was been before Corona, a wonderful time. When I also built my identity as a coach, as an agile coach. And you know, by starting my my entrepreneurial life and actually setting up my bio-inspired think tank, which I already told you about a lot about in previous vlogs, stepping out of academic walls was another scary moment, very scary, because I've met from time to time, of course, representatives of companies, but I never was fully getting full picture of entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship also, I think, can be very scary. For me, when I was reaching many people and talking to many people, being very interactive communicator, that was much easier maybe because it came more natural, but it was still scary. It was still very scary and had to prepare before I went to Chamber of Commerce and actually officially registered my company. So this was very scary. I think that I after even 4 postdocs, I still felt scary, and building this vision, this image of the bio-inspired think tank and building every step further, having this big pictures in mind, was still very exciting in this, and the same time very scary. But I think after I registered my company, a lot of energy, extra energy came. And I think I got a lot of energy also by interacting with other entrepreneurs. And there has been a lot of ideas which were created and actually came into reality. So it was from vision into reality, they became real. And finally bringing things to public speaking. That's something which I'm working currently, and I'm developing these vlogs, entrepreneurial vlogs, to give you a little bit more insight about entrepreneurship. But also telling you also about, you know, bringing more impact by public speaking, by communicating science to public and exerting this entrepreneurial speaking impact in public and getting public involved in entrepreneurial research, especially in stem cells, biomaterials, tissue engineering, and regenerative medicine. So if you think about my path, I now a little bit comment all about that, and knowing that agile mindset in short definition represents iterative process of continuous learning, continuous improvement, experimenting with new things, with new concepts, with new visions, especially in team-oriented, collaborative, interdisciplinary, academic industrial partnership journey. I very much realized that PhD was just starting point. It was not never destination. And I'm still in this journey, in this entrepreneurial journey. So I would say from retrospective that coming back to the question, how I implement agile mindset in my professional life, actually by starting my entrepreneurship journey and registering my startup bio-inspired think tank, actually I got self-awakening that I was born as agile. I was worldwide shaped. My mindset was worldwide shaped through educational journey. And I also been extensively trained as independent thinker, also changing perspective by interacting with different international people representing different mindset. I became actually, I would say, very driven, curious woman in STEM. STEM field, which is building unique experience as agile, energetic, and team coach. So yeah, having this growth mindset all from the beginning, I think in research, when you realized what is the most important feature for motivated researchers is actually curiosity and this experimental learning by doing. And I think this brings you to and very, I would say, strong communication, interpersonal communication, which brings many beautiful, brilliant minds together and creates something truly unique and truly useful in the end. Because I think agile without learning by doing wouldn't be so practical and so useful. So that's how I would, I think, give answer to this question. I got self-awakening, and I realized that I've been always having very high curiosity for science, for research, for also doing something together. So teamwork, and this type of values brought so many people in my especially entrepreneurial life. And every time, of course, you could also think that by building business relationships, every time you give credit of trust, and credit of trust also can be very scary, because you don't know these people really well. I mean, you can screen them, you can ask others, but in the end, of course, you can keep doing it all the time. But that's actually not some time which I would like to per se focus my entrepreneurship. I think in my case, giving trust is very scary, but at the same time, it can be very rewarding. And I think we should give people which we collaborate, which we met, new entrepreneurs, we should give credit of trust. I think everybody deserve this. And I think the same time can be very scary to trust somebody, but I think you have to have faith in people. And that's really something which I also learned through my journey, because then wonderful things, especially entrepreneurial things, can happen. So I think from today, yes, entrepreneurship can be scary, especially for, I would even imagine, from introverts, which are just so much hold on back to themselves. Yes, it can be very scary, because you need to, every time you have new meeting, every time you have direct networking, every time you pitch for competition, you need to stand up and introduce yourself. That already can be very scary. But plus, on top, you design visions of certain products, of certain workshops, of certain educational programs, or even bringing some pitches to public speaking. And every time you have new audience, and every time is scary, right? So I think as soon as more you experience, right, more you exercise, this will become very agile process, and where hopefully you will start enjoying it, enjoying this performance. I think if I think about entrepreneurship is for me really training yourself as a high quality performer. And every time perform, and every time deliver, and every time also stand up for yourself too. That's also important part building this valuable voice in the crowd is extremely important. So I thought, yeah, I think that's what I like to share today. From my perspective of today. Yes, entrepreneurship can be scary, and yes, agile, having agile mindset definitely helps to succeed in this scary entrepreneurship. So I hope you will build this credit of trust and keep faith in people, keep faith in the process. And if you decide as an even researcher like me coming from academia to step in and set up your own company, always remember about having faith, a leap of faith, and having this trust in the process, that you are there to learn, you are there to explore, and you are there to also meet other people and build and exert great, I would say, collaborative impact in entrepreneurship. And not forgetting about this joy, having joy and having fun at the same time. So I would say for all budding entrepreneurs, don't be afraid and stay open, stay having open mindset. This will definitely help you out to at least diminish this fear, which at the beginning can be very, very scary. So thanks a lot, and enjoy today also Halloween parties worldwide. So thinking about entrepreneurship, yes, that's something which could be envisioned as a scary journey, sometimes scary, but at the same time very much enjoy, very much exciting at the same time. So I hope that you will continue. Please let me know about your entrepreneurial experiences, and stay tuned, because there is a new vlog coming, also very useful, very agile. So till next time, enjoy Halloween. Bye.